Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about 2-5-1s. I'm going to explain what a 2-5-1 is, what that means, how to recognise it, what you can do with it, and why the 2-5-1 is your best friend. So first of all, what does a 2-5-1 sound like? Here it is in the key of C. So what do the numbers 2, 5 and 1 refer to? If we're thinking of the key of C, then the scale of C major, you can make a whole lot of chords from that, starting with the first note. The first chord you can make is C major, so that is the 1 chord of C. The D minor or D minor 7 is the 2nd chord, so that is the 2 chord. It's from exactly the same scale, so it's got all the same notes that are in, it's just that we're starting in a different place. So that's the 2 chord. The 3 chord starts there, the 4 chord starts there, the 5 chord starts there. So the 5 chord is G7. So the 3 chords of the 2-5-1 are D minor 7, 5, G, and the 1 is C major 7. Don't worry too much if you're not sure absolutely what's the difference between, for example, a C and a C major 7. I'll do with that and in some future video. So that's what the numbers mean. So I'm going to play the roots along with the chords. This time I'll play the arpeggios. So that again was D minor 7 followed by G7 followed by C major 7. Now let's play the ascending scales. Obviously we didn't get a chance to play the whole scale because the chords were too short, but you get the idea. So those 3 approaches, playing the roots, playing the arpeggios, playing the scales, give you a feel for what the chords are, assuming that you couldn't actually hear or see the chords. But that's not really the approach that we particularly want to take to start with a 2-5-1. Because the thing about 2-5-1 is it gives you freedom. Not to follow the chords so closely. Within a chord sequence which might have a lot of different and difficult chords to follow, the 2-5-1 is an area of safety. Because basically those 3 chords are all within the same scale, because as we've demonstrated, all those chords come from the same scale, and they're all heading towards the same note, namely the root. So you can think of it in terms of holding a tennis ball. So if you're holding a tennis ball, you're standing up, you're holding the ball above the ground, it has a certain distance from the ground, that is your 2 chord. You throw it up in the air and it has a lot more distance from the ground, and that's the 5, and then when it comes down to ground, that's the 1, and that's where it's perfectly happy to stay. So the 2-5-1 is a movement from a certain height up to a bigger height and then down to the ground. And that's the feeling that you get from those chords. You always know when you reach the end chord that you have actually arrived somewhere. So that's your area of safety. And one of the first easy things we can do with a 2-5-1 is a descending scale which runs through the 3 chords. So if we run down these chords, the first note we're playing is the 7th of the D minor 7. When we hit there, that's the 7th note of the G7. And we're ending up on the root of the C. So listening to that. So we moved smoothly down through the chords, all of the notes fitted, and we had that target note of C, which gave a kind of finality to the whole movement. Let's move to the key of G and do the same thing again. So if we're in G, the 2 is now A minor, the 5 is D, G is the 1. So this time we're going to have 4 G chords followed by the 2-5-1. Now let's do the descending line. Now this time we're going to play a phrase that fits over the G and that ignores those 3 chords. And so this time the chords will be doing the work. So I'll play a very simple phrase repeated over the G chord, and then we'll carry on as the 2-5-1 comes. So you can hear that whatever fits over the G chord is going to fit over the 2-5-1. So again, that's that feeling of safety that we've got. Let's try playing a G major blues scale over the same sequence. So you get the idea that a simple phrase over the G is going to work over the 2-5-1. So again, the feeling of safety. Now, that's the easy approach to the 2-5-1. That's why it's your best friend. But safety is not what jazz is all about. So it's often more interesting to actually follow the chords. So let's do up an arpeggio and then down the scale. Up the arpeggio, down the scale, and down the scale. In this case, we're starting on the major 7 of the G major 7, and we're ending on the 3rd of the G. Let's hear that with the chords. So now, how do you recognise a 2-5-1 when you hear it in a sequence? Let's play a little chord sequence. Take a look at the chords and see if you can spot either by ear or by eye the 2-5-1s. And the key that we're in is the key of G. So the 2 you're looking for is going to be A minor 7. Okay, you probably noticed there's quite a few 2-5-1s in here. We'll go through it again, and this time I'll call them out as they come. Two, 5, 1, 2, you might have noticed most of the 2-5-1s there were whole bars of 2 and 5, but there's one little one in the second line where 2 and 5 get half a bar each, and that's not uncommon. So don't be surprised by that. Let's have another sequence. This sequence is in a minor key, but it's still easy enough to spot the 2-5-1s. So it's in the key of E minor, but there's some relative major Gs. So your 2s are again going to be A minor, D, G. So have a listen through the sequence and see what you can spot. So this one is a bit different. You've got a lot of A minor 7, D7, G7s, but you've also got second line. That's a different type of 2-5-1. This is a 2-5-1 leading to a minor. So it's E minor. That's the 1. 2 is F sharp minor 7. 5 is B7, E minor. So the E minor is acting as, in this case, a temporary 1. And the fact that the F sharp minor 7 is a flat 5, don't worry about that. You'll quite often be little bits of extra chord names tagged onto the end. It doesn't alter the fact that it's still a 2-5-1. So you have 3 of those F sharp minor 7 to B7 to E minor, no, 4 of them actually, and I think probably 4 of the other type. So I'm going to call them out as we go through them again. So we're starting off with 2-5-1, 2, 5, 1. Then the 2-5-1 to minor. 2-5-1. And then the 2-5-1 to minor. 2-5-1 to minor again. 2-5-1 to major. 2-5-1 to minor. So you can recognise the 2-5-1 either by looking and recognising a minor 7 followed by a 7, or by now you should be beginning to be able to recognise it by ear. And 2-5-1s are in the majority of jazz tunes, and the sooner you get to recognise them, the easier it is to deal with them. And as I say, these are areas of safety, so often a sequence, 32 bar sequence, might have quite a few different sections of difficult chords with just 1 or 2 areas of 2-5-1s, and those, as I say, are the areas of safety. There are whole books of inventive licks that you can use on 2-5-1s. And it's a very good idea because you don't want to get stuck all of the time with playing arpeggios and little scales. So the more interesting ways you can find of dealing with that, the better. So books of 251s will have interesting added notes, notes that are slightly outside the chords, and it's a good idea to learn a few of those and to practice them in different keys. And I've got a little thing to finish off with, which is a series of different chords, so you can practice any particular lick around these different chords. So we're going from B minor 7, E7, A major 7, and then that's turning to A minor 7, so it's a new 2-5-1, and then the G major 7 turns into a G minor 7, and so on around 4 different keys, as you can see. So I'll play you out by just playing around those chords. So I hope you enjoyed this, I hope you found it useful. There's a lot more about 2-5-1s and understanding chords in general in my beginning and exploring jazz violin books and on my Music Guru's jazz violin course. So I hope you'll find something useful in those, and hope to see you again soon.